So I'm in my gallery, and as you can see, I have 9,424 photos. Do you see that? That's a lot of photos. Would you say I'm doing the work on manifesting, on getting clear on what it is that I want and need and desire, right? This is evidence. The results always are indicated in something that's measurable. There's 9,424 photos I have uploaded. Now, here is the most incredible thing. I uploaded a photograph of me in front of the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. I actually lived in Paris for 6 months. Over 20 years ago. And what this photo actually represents to me is that as a teenager, I had this crazy dream that I would live in Paris and I would learn French. And I actually did, with a name like Serafini. I thought it'd be like Armani or Gucci, and I thought that I would be a fashion designer. I'm not joking. Like, if people said to me when I was 12, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, oh, I want to be a famous fashion designer. The fact that I can't sew and I can't draw, and I, am not actually, native to Italy, by the by. But I did end up in Paris. So when I see that photo, it triggers my other than consciousness, which is my super consciousness, my unconsciousness, and my subconsciousness, and my consciousness, all of the consciousnesses. It triggers me and reminds me that having dreams is worthwhile. So I would go back and look for photographs. This is me at 23. I'm 49 now. If you go down here, this is a photograph of me graduating from business school. I have this photo in here to remind my various consciousnesses that when I commit to something and I set out to achieve something, I actually accomplish it. Was I at the top of my class? Absolutely not. I was way too much of a party girl. I was involved in way too many extracurricular activities to ever be at the top of my class, right? And I'm smart. So I could have been, but quite frankly, there's a lot of other things in life than me studying like a nerd, even though I am nerdy and geekish, right? But here is a photo, and I'm actually going to blow it up so that you can see. See how it has Oprah and Ariana Huffington in it? And see how they're the only two in color? Audrey Hepburn, Amelia Earhart, of course, Princess Diana. Now, what's interesting is, and then Ms. Gandhi. So here's what's interesting. My very first Skype meeting with Sean Acor, he was in Ariana Huffington's penthouse in New York doing a Thrive video with Oprah. And he and Kobe Bryant were in Ariana's place because that's where they were filming. Now, what's amazing is that this image I actually found somewhere online, and I right-clicked it and I saved it. And I love these women as role models. She read a beautiful biography about Amelia Earhart and where she crashed into the Pacific Ocean is not far from where I was born in Papua New Guinea. So I actually found her story fascinating, personally fascinating. I lived in London when Princess Diana died, and I remember going to Buckingham Palace upon that news and there being tens of thousands of bouquets of flowers in front of the palace. It was, and London was silent. It was very eerie. It was very strange. It was quite extraordinary. Anyway, if these images are flashing past, do you think that the divine somehow organized or orchestrated that I, Kim Serafini, would connect with Sean Acor at the time when those two women are in the same place with him? And for any one of us to feel like we are the masters, that's just ridiculous, because it was the divine, masterful. Your job is to get clear about what it is that you want to experience and who it is that you want to play with and so forth. This is actually a photograph of a Porsche Cayenne. I used to drive one. I have some different desires now. What does this photograph remind me is that I get to drive fancy cars if I choose to. This is a photograph of me and Marcy Shimoff. I feel forever grateful that I got to work with Marcy Shimoff. I was one of her #1 affiliates for her program called Happy for No Reason and then Love for No Reason. I was one of her love ambassadors. So I went through her certification programs, and this is about 10 years ago now, 10, 12 years ago. So this is me with her at her home, right? So the reality is I'm just going to go to a number 10 here. I have so many different photographs. I'll give you an example. This is Alain Ducasse. He is a Michelin star chef. And if I have a photograph of him, it's interesting because I was actually chosen to speak on a stage where he was one of the other speakers, which is actually why I went and got the photographs of him, because I didn't know very much about him. But given that he was going to be at the same event, I just thought I'm going to put his energy in my Positive Prime sessions, and I'm going to align to that. But I knew I was going to be staying at a particular hotel when I was meeting him. And this is actually a room in that hotel. And so what I'm doing is I'm priming myself for being in these environments. And when I look at this photo, what I want you to do when you're looking at positive primers, I want you to imagine what it will feel like for you to be inside the situations that you're actually depicting. That is actually where the magic is. The more that you can feel the feelings of what you would feel like if you were there sitting in this chair or smelling this rose, is the more quickly it will manifest for you. So I hope that's given you a couple of ideas. I did say to someone yesterday, one of the best things that you can do is take photographs of the gifts that you're given. And I know that you know this. I was actually just recently at an event where I was gifted this angel. And it was so funny because one of the speakers was giving away a gift. And of course, it was the only gift given away that day. And of course, I got it. Why? Because guess what? I am aligned with gifts. I am energetically aligned with gifts. It's beautiful, isn't it? So what would the best thing for me to be? What would I have to do? Anyone know? Photograph this and put it in my positive prime session that will remind my other than consciousness that I'm aligned with receiving gifts. Any one of us who has any problems with receiving needs to put photographs of what we've received into positive prime sessions.